Mm. Okay, this is Kim here. Hopefully this is working right. I'm going to test it out. I am actually going over the benefit of Facebook bots and testing out Facebook Live here, so hopefully this works. So the first thing is that for those of you who don't know me, I have a group lead generation source, and that's where I'm kind of focusing all the efforts here. I'm just testing this out in another group with a couple of people in it. You're welcome to come join us in lead generation source where we talk more about driving traffic and generating leads. But right now my topic is about Facebook bots, and there's a guy that I follow, and that's because he owns Chatmatic, and that's called he's Travis Stevenson, and he has a great course on the basics of bots for when you're interested. But for now I just want to kind of cover the basics. So a bot, for those who don't know, is something that engages with through Messenger to people on your Facebook page or through other third-party software programs. They're completely Facebook legal and blessed. In fact, Facebook entered in the API so that the software could connect and do all this for you. So first, let me talk about the benefit of bots, and let me explain that bots, since they use Messenger is a tool. It's actually its own app separate from Facebook. It's part of Facebook, but it also is its own app. So somebody could literally have Messenger installed and not Facebook. And what that means is that gives a method for communication. And as a tool, we use it in the business world to communicate with our potential customers, our potential subscribers, people who are going to be engaging with us on our page. And the number one reason that I would say that is Facebook bots is that since they are a tool, that they are something that we should put in our box of tools. That's something a resource that we should use. So I'm also going to put resource here because it's a way for us to open up communications with people, right, easily. And then because it's a tool and it's a resource, we use it to improve efficiency. And along with efficiency is what I'm going to call continuity. And I'm going to briefly just give you a little bit of my background, and that is my background's in emergency and disaster response. And I mostly worked with individuals, but I also worked with small business owners because they were, affected twice. Usually if it was their home and they were working out of their home, or most of their business was out of their home, they get affected by that. And so I worked a lot with people who had kind of these double disasters. And one thing that I learned then was that a lot of people they relied a lot on manpower. So an example of this would be, so if you have your business in your home and you build a box, wood box, and you have the tools there, if all of your tools are destroyed and your box is destroyed and you have to go do other things, you have to physically make those in order for it to happen. And that's it's manpower. And so while you have the tools and you have the wood, it took the manpower in order to make that end product. And when you take the manpower out of the equation, it's not very efficient. It's not a continuous process. And so one thing with tools is that you can minimize the amount of labor that's involved with the processes that you have in place. And in this case, a good example of the use of a Facebook bot is when somebody comments on your post and it auto replies to them. And I use this example because this is one of the most common examples in e-commerce, at least, is that you may say something like, hey, comment below or vote on your favorite and I'll send you X, Y, or Z. I'll send you a link for something, or I'll send you the download. So, and I know there's some controversy over whether you include comment or not, but when you're running ads, you can pretty much do whatever you want. You just end up paying for whatever the results are. So if you put that in there and people comment and you manually reply to each one of those, then what ends up happening is that takes time. So you've got to look at the cost versus benefit here. So if you have 100 people that comment and you spend 2 hours replying to those 100 comments, how much are you making? Let's say you get one purchase out of that or two purchases out of that. if you're only making 10 or $20 on that, you've just spent, 2 hours replying to all these people. And while, yes, that's great that you made a sale, what could you have done with that 2 hours to help improve traffic to your site, to help, fine tune whatever it is, where a simple bot could have done the exact same thing. Now, I know it's not that personal, and some people actually kind of get mad about it, but for the most part, 90% of people, if they're going to comment to get something, that's what they want, is they want that comment to get it. So the reality is that it is a tool, and it is a resource that we should be using to help with the efficiency of our businesses and to help with the continuity of our businesses. So when we are taken out of play for whatever reason, we're sick, we want to take a vacation, whatever it is, our processes are still working and still helping our business make us money, bring in the new leads, drive more traffic. So that's the whole point of all that. And the third main reason that I would argue is that you need to go to the tools where the people are, right? So go to the people. And, for those who have been following me for a little while, they know that I don't think that Facebook is the end all be all as far as activity on Facebook. I think that Facebook has placed itself in a good position to be a resource, again, for businesses and for people. And a good example of this is one of my family members. She had something wrong with her phone. Something was messed up with the actual plan. They were moving lines from one to another, and her phone ended up not having an actual phone number attached to it. And so she couldn't call or, take calls. She couldn't make calls or take calls. So what she did was, because it was a smartphone and it had Wi-Fi, she just enabled the Wi-Fi on it, and she used the Messenger app to communicate with everybody. And she just talk to everybody through Messenger, send us a message through there. And it kind of made me realize that there is an entire generation out there that works off of, the cell phones and, to a degree, tablets, but mostly cell phones. These smartphones are, it's like they're inundating everywhere, right? So everybody's using these smartphones that work off of Wi-Fi, and they're utilizing these resources, and that's where we need to go. And to prove that even more, it's Facebook is adding in ads, right? They've added ads to Messenger. So because of this, we know that Facebook is planning on putting in a lot of resources into Messenger. And they've already put in a lot of resources into Messenger, and they're expanding that to include integrations with websites so that you can do chat support using Facebook Messenger. So they are trying their best to continue to be a player in the world of business, for that matter. So we should definitely consider using the Messenger feature as a resource for us. And so that's kind of like an overview of Facebook for bots. Let me see, actually, let me go ahead and clear this one out. And then I want to talk about the actual, sorry, I'm just going to get a new page up here. I want to talk about the features, right? So the core, let's say the core features of bots. And normally I'd break this up into different videos, but for those who don't know, I'm having some technological issues with my screen recorder. So the core features of bots, there are basically three, right? So there's, the first one is, and I'm going to go /software on this because the bot itself is through Messenger. So there's really two that are Messenger related, and then there's a third feature that's popped up with these. And the first one is reply to comments on post, right? And then the well, and even then there's a kind of a sub one too. So let's say there's two here that are about replies. Then there's a third one here that is separate from that, and then there's a fourth one. So the second one is using it as support, right? So support chat. And this is where you can either start them off with just a few keywords that point them in the right direction, or you can actually put in an entire in some of the software programs, you can put it in an entire like list of, okay, if somebody says this keyword, it'll trigger with this comment. If somebody says this keyword, it'll trigger with this comment. And so you can get into some really detailed automated chat response without having to have somebody there. And then if they get to a point where they're stuck or they're like, hey, I'm just not getting the answer I'm looking for, they can click a button and they can send you an email, right? Or they can be directed to live support or something. It just depends on your systems. So that's kind of like, so this is the reply to comments is comments on your posts and your page. And then the support chat is in the same thing, because these are both in Messenger, right? So these are both in Messenger, but the support chat can be off-site. It can be on your own website. It can be on Facebook, but it could be somebody who just directly messages you on Facebook too. So those are both kind of the same thing. They have different rules on them. Like the first one, if somebody puts a comment on your post, you have like 24 hours to market to them. The second one, you're engaging with them, so that's you can still market to them because they've contacted you. So the third one is something I'm going to call a broadcast, and I got this straight from Travis, a broadcast subscription, right? So it's when somebody signs up, subscription, yeah. It's when somebody signs up to get notifications, right? They want notifications on a regular basis. So because they want those, you're going to send it to them through Messenger, notifications through Messenger. And basically that's if somebody replies to a comment, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're signing up to get broadcast messages. But if you reply to them with your auto reply and it says, oh, hey, thanks so much for your comment. If you're interested in subscribing to our list, click here. It's the same thing as if you're going to sign up for email, right? But instead it's going to go through Messenger. Now the difference is that your broadcast versus email is going to be, they're going to be different rules, and nobody really knows all of the rules. But what we do know is that there needs to be value here, and it needs to be more than, oh, hey, get our latest sale or anything else. And you probably want to drive people back to Facebook. So when you get into doing something like this, you definitely want to make sure you're with somebody who's training, and that's why I like Chatbots. But I also have some other softwares, Funnel Messenger, Shop Messenger, and then Social Jacker. Those are the three that you combine together to do all of these as well, plus more. So, but those are the core features for communication. But then there's a fourth feature that pops up, and again, Chatbots has this built in, but Social Jacker also has this and has an improved version of it. And so that's why I like that. And we'll talk more about the differences of these. But for this last part, it's emails. So I'm going to say email capture, and then ideally an integration with an autoresponder. And for those of you who are not into email marketing, it's the autoresponder is when you have a series of messages that go out and in order, so like somebody signs up to your email list and day one they get an email, but you're not typing that email out and sending it to them. It's automatically going out in what they call an autoresponder series. So day one they get an email, day two they get an email, day three they get an email, etc. And so that goes on for a while until, it just depends on your niche and your audience and what your end goals are. So what happens with the software is that they use Facebook, the Facebook API, right? So an API is just basically some sort of connection platform for them. I'm sure there's an actual word to that, but probably some automated something integration. But so they're going to take the Facebook API and they're going to ask the person for permission, right? So they're going to ask the customer for permission to gather that information, and then the person authorizes it and they give you the info. So then you get it, and you can do basically what you want with it within reason, of course. So there's a lot of benefits to getting those emails. And because of that, that's what makes that software even more important, is when you start capturing those emails. And, my argument is, people go, well, which one do you want to have, emails, or do you want to be a broadcast subscription? And because for the most part, it is an either or. And ideally, you get both, because if something happens, so, I don't know, Facebook shuts down your account, or Facebook ceases Messenger. There's like one day they're like, oh, hey, we don't want to do Messenger anymore. We're just going to shut it down. I don't think that would happen, but let's just say something like that does. They get bought out by some, I don't know who would buy them out. Somebody huge would have to buy them out. And they say, okay, hey, we don't want to do the Messenger part anymore. We just want this Facebook part. We're going to shut down Messenger. That would be, you're done with that, right? And so you don't have all of that work is over with. So if you're capturing the emails, you can always try to at least convert some of your people over. And either way, you can work with one or the other or both. And for me, I'm like, well, if you like emails, focus on the email captures and work on that. If you're like, hey, I'm completely new to email marketing, then capture the emails and focus on, the broadcast messages. And so like I said, there are pros and cons to each of these, and I'm going to go into detail in a little while, not on this one, but I'll do another one and talk about more detail on each of these because each of the different software programs offers what? I don't know why that said that. Since my computer, I think, is on. Okay, so hopefully this is going to keep going, but just in case it doesn't, let's go ahead and actually stop there because it looks like it's not working. So we'll come back.